Hi everyone, my name's Lily and I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind. And long coming, I'm going to be doing my April wrap up. If you saw last week, I didn't post a video. I was just all over the place. April was wrapping up, was not prepared for May. So here it is. I'm going to start off first by saying what April was like, what I made, and then also my favorite books. So let me just start off by how was April. As I said, April was intense. I knew it was going to be intense. It's going to be one of it was, and I knew from the beginning of the year was going to be one of my most intense months. There's a lot going on in April, and my reading showed it. I had a really hard time loving anything in April. Surprisingly, I still had a lot of favorites, but just the end of April to me, I don't know if it was the momentum, the difficulty of kind of all of April. I knew I would get a mini reprieve in May, or I will, hopefully, fingers crossed. So the end of April was just kind of like I was struggling so hard. I made a TikTok, which I will link below, where I was just thinking about how hard it was to actually focus on anything. I would read, and it was just taking me forever to read. I still was reading. It was just taking me like 3 times as long to read. That being said, I'm a very fast reader normally, and so this was excruciating for me. So April felt like the month that never ended in terms of reading. And but still, I had some favorites, which I will chat about. And just yeah, it was just like a really stressful. I have recently kind of developed this thing where when I get too stressed, I just start feeling really sick and nauseous, basically. Like my stomach literally starts to sort of turn around on itself. I become really nauseous. I can't really do much. And while this happened a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, really badly, basically anywhere, anytime when I would have to travel, and there was just a huge amount of anxiety around that. I didn't get to that state yet in this April, but I feel like I was close. It was just a lot of stuff going on all at once, and I'm glad April's done. Not that I didn't have fun during April, I just need a little bit of a break. March was really stressful, and then I think just April kind of just everything came together, and my body and my mind was kind of just like, it's been 2 really stressful months back to back. I don't know if we can do it again. May, I'm trying to keep it a little bit more stress free, but we will see, honestly, because it's kind of starting off like always when I have these really stressful periods where I'm trying to struggle to catch up. So I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, what did I make in May? Sorry, in April? Nothing. I made nothing in April. I was just so busy going through things, decluttering things, getting rid of things, donating things. Like it just was a huge amount of spring cleaning, I guess, because April kind of is spring. So spring cleaning, but I didn't make anything. I'm very excited though in May to start. I got some yarns I'm excited for, and I want to make sweater vest, which of course I'm always knitting and crocheting and creating not in the right season. So really, I mean, in reality, I'm starting projects that I'll finish maybe in the fall. So it is sort of the right season, but it always feels kind of weird. But yeah, I made nothing, didn't make earrings, like literally made nothing. And maybe that's kind of what it is too. I feel like in other areas of my life, like in exercise, I had some injuries in April. I wasn't making anything, and kind of all of those things made my mental state and anxiety levels and just in general worse. So in May, I'm really excited to kind of get back on the creative train, to kind of creatively challenge my brain. I'm also excited that it will be nicer weather so I can do exercise outside and go back to running. If you are following me for a while, you will know that last year I had a really painful knee injury while running. So I'm going to try to get back to it, but also like doubly as slow as possible, just really gently, as in like I'll do a run and then 2 days rest basically, and then try to see if that helps, just because I do not want to experience that again. It was just like so painful to walk around. And then, of course, my other knee was compensating, so then it became really painful. It just like, no, I don't want that. So I'm going to do that again slowly. I'm already gotten ready. I've gotten my my music ready, my playlist. I'm ready. I just am waiting to kind of relax a little bit. So, let me chat about what some of my favorite reads were this month. Actually, let me start with statistics. So, statistics, half of my books were written with people of color as main characters, and 32% with queer characters as main characters, which is so close to my goal of 33. Considering how intense April was, I'm just going to count it as a win. I think that was March my worst month ever? I can't remember, but I will link down below which one it was in terms of statistics. But we're slowly making our way back. May is starting out really strong as well. So, hopeful for that. I as I said, was in a huge spring declutter mode, also trying to pass things on to people I thought would enjoy it and other, sharing enthusiasm and whatever. So I don't actually have that many books to show you, even though I read 22 books, and a lot of them were physical books. A lot of them were library books too, though, so those are obviously gone. But here are the three here to show you. Yeah, as I said, though, I was very much in the mood of like, everything possible needs to go. I don't need to keep things in my life. If I'm done with something and I just needs to go. It was my very much kind of, well, it wasn't my, if it doesn't bring you joy, give it away. Mine was kind of like, if I won't touch this again in the calendar year, I probably should give it away or find a new home to someone else. Like, I think I shipped out, 60 pounds of books to just various family members and friends. And I kind of basically was like, give me all the genres you like to read, and now you get them all. I was really in declutter mode. And it became something where I was kind of just trying to go through things and figure out if I wanted to keep them. So I'm excited to kind of relax a little bit. I feel really accomplished. But that means I just don't have that many to show you. And as I said, lots of them are library books. So I actually this month want to talk about my favorites. And then I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about things that I've read. So for example, I read The Hemlock Queen, and I want to talk about that specifically later on in the video. So kind of things that I've chatted about before I want to bring back, and also hyped books and how I feel about them. So, let me just start off with favorites. The first one, obviously from the top of the pile, is Holy Terrors. I'm not going to say anything about Holy Terrors because I made a whole 8-minute long video where I just rant about how much I love Holy Terrors. So I will link that down below. But Holy Terrors is something with Crate Edition, 100% a favorite, hands down. The next one I want to talk about are two adult fantasy favorites. The first one is another one I have in my hand. It's The Serpent Called Mercy. I love this one. If you love gladiator type arena competitions against magical, mystical creatures where you kind of not only have to figure out brute force but also clever force, that's this. But also this book was so much dedicated to the idea of mercy, specifically within this setting, but also in this world. This world is so steeped in economic inequality. It's so steeped in poverty and greed and exploitation. So it's kind of like mercy in that sense as well. It also features a friendship core, or friends at the core of this. The main character and their fighting partner person are friends, obviously. And so it was just one of those books which was multi-layered in the whole character level, world building level. It was really, really fun to read. I breezed through this much faster than I thought I was going to, and I really, really enjoyed that one. The next one is The Night and the Moth, which was honestly one of my most anticipated reads, considering how much I loved the world building in One Dark Window, and Two Twisted Crowns. One Dark Window. So I was really not surprised that I loved this one. The world building, this is great. I've seen a lot of reviews where they talk about this book and not anticipating liking it, but then do. I think it's more of a late game kind of thing. So it's going to be a series, and a lot of the things that are discussed in the book really find their footing in the last third. I think the first third are kind of perfect for people who love the vibes, love the kind of gothic fantasy-esque vibes, love the whole kind of religious order vibes. Then I feel like the next third are kind of really heavily focused on this theme that I really love, which are when characters have to evaluate and question the faith and the religion and the systems that they've grown up in and realize that maybe not everything is how they thought it was going to be. Maybe not everything is how they think it is. And then the last third helps set us up for the sequel. This has one of my favorite inanimate object companions, basically a gargoyle. Well, it talks. When you read it, you'll know. But anyway, The Night and the Moth was so fantastic. It was just one of those books which had me on so many different levels, a character level. It was like a character level, then character journey level, then world level. It just kind of builds in scope really nicely from a very individual story to a much larger story, a larger story about betrayal on all fronts. So there, I wanted to recommend that one. The next other and final adult pick I want to talk about is Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. I loved Vera Wong's Guide to Unsolicited Murder. So this is going to be a part where I talk about anticipated reads as well. Vera Wong was so fabulous. I don't know if I should make a separate video for it, but just kind of a general teaser. It was really good. Tone-wise, I felt like it was grittier and like emotionally more difficult than the first one. Basically, this one you should look into trigger warnings, but basically this one is sort of inspired by the author's explorations and seeing these news about trafficking. So that is sort of a little bit of where Vera Wong goes. Actually, it's not a little bit. It's a lot of where Vera Wong goes. But I think if you love the signature Vera Wong style, like the Vera Wong snark, the Vera Wong love language being food giving, like if you love Vera Wong as a character, I think you'll ultimately be drawn back to this one. There's the same characters from before and also new ones, so the found family aspect is just even better in this one. These are the reasons why I loved it so much, but I will say that tone wise it was a little bit more emotionally intense than the first one, which seems a little weird because there were murders, I mean, in both of them. But in the second one, a little bit more emotionally intense because of this kind of trafficking element. So just be warned before you go into it. And the last one I want to talk about is You Started It. You Started It made me feel, and obviously, as I said, April was a very anxious month for me, but You Started It really made me dive into my anxiety and really made me feel seen. Basically, it features a main character who has a lot of anxiety, and that's one element of her life. But the main element of her life is that she's trying to get back at her ex by meeting and pretend fake dating someone else. What I think I loved is that the main character makes a lot of lists, and the love interest in the book, or the fake dating person in the book, is very much the antithesis of this. So this is perfect for those fans of like opposites attract. As me, as a person who makes a ton of different lists, like just lists everywhere, this book made me feel super called out and super seen. And I just really enjoyed this idea and this theme in this YA book about realizing that when you make all of these different lists, you can kind of miss what's happening right in front of you at that moment, which is something I struggle with like on a daily basis. So I really love that theme, and I really loved You Started It. And now I want to chat. So I already chatted about Vera Wong, and that kind of talks about the books that are most anticipated. I will leave the link down below. But I want to talk now about The Hemlock Queen, which is featured in series I want to series I want to complete/finish, also continue reading in 2025. The Hemlock Queen kind of let me down. It felt like a second book middle child syndrome to me. It felt a little bit like a little bit lull, a little bit meandering. I had a roller coaster of emotions where at the end I was very much back on the track and kind of like, I will read the last one. But it was kind of like the first third or even almost first half, I'm kind of like, what is going on? It has interesting themes about power, and specifically the idea of power corruption and kind of power taking over. But for me, it was kind of lacking on the characters, lacking on the pacing, especially throughout the first half. And so unfortunately, this one did fall into second book syndrome for me. I wanted to talk about that because I'm trying to keep up on the videos that I have promised and have talked about already. And the last one is I want to talk about Bunny. I made a few TikToks as well about how Jonathan Strange, I've been listening to that one for months and I haven't been able to finish that. Wait for May. Wait for May and you will hear my unhinged thoughts about Jonathan Strange. But anyway, Bunny. I I will link my full review down below. But Bunny is one of those books where I finished it and I was like, I don't know if I like it or I don't like it. I don't know if I enjoyed it or not. So for me, the main themes that I liked about Bunny were friendship and also kind of this intense insider outsider mentality and the clique mentality of Bunny. But and I do like the atmosphere, the eeriness and the creepiness to downright horror, but it was kind of like some things where I didn't really know what was happening. It really threw me off. It was like one of those things where I find that books can become so hazy, so you don't know what's going on. So much of that not it leaves the realm of being intriguing to just confusing and unenjoyable. And for me, Bunny strayed a little bit into this at certain points, specifically towards the end as well, where I'm kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. I'm actually really intrigued in the sequel to Bunny, mostly because I can't really talk about that, I guess. But I'm really excited about the sequel to Bunny, and I actually will read that, even though the reading of Bunny left me sort of like, meh? Huh? That's kind of my feelings finishing Bunny. But anyway, I wanted to just kind of talk about those things at the end of this month, and I hope to see you in the next video where we chat about May. As I've teased my Jonathan Strange thoughts, I'm ready. Actually, I might just do a whole video on that because I have very many thoughts. And yeah, I hope that you all have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and 2025 year. Let me know what your favorite read was from April, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.